sick of looking at studies of C. elegans all day.
Should we get something to drink?
As much as that sounds good, I'm trying to cut down. I'm trying to be healthier.
Well, I have red wine.
How does that help?
Well, red wine's supposed to be good for you. It's all over social media. So if you're just trying to focus on your health, you can still have some red wine.
Did someone say red wine? Have you ever heard that drinking red wine is good for you? You might have heard it makes you live longer, healthier, and even makes you look younger. These conceptions come from a compounded red wine called resveratrol. Let's take a closer look into this. So what is resveratrol? Resveratrol is an antioxidant that can be found in grapes, red wine, and berries. You may have heard the term antioxidant and that they're good for your health and can prevent aging. This reasoning comes from the oxidative theory of aging. This theory suggests that as we age, damage can accumulate in our cells and DNA from reactive oxygen species. These species, such as superoxide and hydrogen peroxide, are produced during normal cellular metabolism. Our bodies create natural antioxidants to stabilize reactive oxygen species and block them from damaging our cells. So where does resveratrol come into this? Well, resveratrol is an antioxidant that has been shown to have beneficial effects on aging-related diseases. In addition to its antioxidant qualities, it also works to activate specific silent information regulator genes, or SIR genes, which are histone deacetylases that activate important cellular pathways like the mTOR pathway, which weeds out old cells through autophagy, and the AMPK pathway, which helps activate our own beneficial cellular response that's associated with health and longevity. Through these mechanisms, some studies on resveratrol have shown benefits such as potential attenuation of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, dementia, and more.
So drinking red wine is good for you.
Well, it's true that red wine has resveratrol. Its levels aren't high enough to have therapeutic effects.
If higher doses are needed, what about taking supplements?
Well, it also matters what type of resveratrol you're consuming. In 2022, scientists fed mice either trans or cis resveratrol. Trans and cis refers to different configurations of the same molecule. They found that trans and cis resveratrol have opposite effects on tyrosine serum content in rat cortical neurons. Tyrosine is used as a biomarker for disease. A high dose of trans resveratrol leads to a high tyrosine and TYRS, resulting in negative effects such as reduced brain volume. It's also important to read anti-aging scientific literature with a critical eye. On social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram, there's lots of short videos on drinking red wine, its benefits for health, and resveratrol supplements as they relate to anti-aging. Some of these videos do reference actual studies. Like in this video, this person references an actual study done in mice that shows the benefits of resveratrol. But then he immediately turns around and recommends that the human audience should take resveratrol supplements at the same frequency. Mice are a helpful model organism and similar in a lot of ways to humans, but they are not the same. You are not a mouse. No definitive conclusions can be drawn about resveratrol's effects on humans from that study. Before we get into more studies about resveratrol, I want to mention there's still a lot up in the air. Scientists are still uncertain about the exact dosage needed for therapeutic effect, and the bioavailability of resveratrol, meaning the amount that's able to actually circulate in your system after you take it, is low compared to the levels needed for those beneficial effects. But if doses are too high, like in the study we talked about earlier, resveratrol can have the opposite effect as a pro-oxidant rather than an antioxidant. It's also considered pleiotropic, meaning that it has many effects on the human body. Not many of these have been studied in great detail. So, while I've been talking, what have you guys found?
I found a study by Pearson et al. That investigated whether oral resveratrol supplementation in non-obese mice could mimic the effects of caloric restriction, which is a well-known intervention that delays the onset of age-related diseases. The researchers conducted a long-term study beginning in midlife and used transcriptional profiling across key metabolic tissues such as the liver, skeletal muscle, and heart. It showed that resveratrol improved insulin sensitivity, glucose regulation, and cardiovascular function. So why is this important? These results suggest that resveratrol can act as a dietary restriction mimetic, offering many of the same health benefits without requiring reduced caloric intake, which is often impractical or risky for populations such as the elderly or critically ill. The study highlights the potential for resveratrol to improve health by improving metabolic efficiency and cardiovascular health, both of which are major contributors to age-related morbidity and mortality. However, resveratrol did not significantly extend lifespan in non-obese mice, even at higher doses. This limitation indicates that while resveratrol can improve health and delay certain aspects of aging, it does not fully replicate all the effects of caloric restriction that would lead to lifespan extension.
I actually recently read this article in which scientists fed mice resveratrol where the drug comprised 40 milligrams per kilogram of their food. They compared the aortic tissues of these mice to a control group receiving normal food. The authors found that resveratrol treatment can slow aortic aging as demonstrated by lower aortic thickness, inflammation, and fibrosis. It also showed that resveratrol upregulates enos, a pro-oxidant, but also SOD1 and SOD2, which encode antioxidants. These produced a net effect of reduced oxidative stress. The researchers also saw that angiotensin II, a hormone that induces vasoconstriction and inflammation, was observed in lower frequency in treated mice. But that study had no variation in age when resveratrol treatment started, and gender, so these factors weren't measured.
Now, recalling the differences in trans and cis resveratrol that we discussed earlier, the observation of reduced brain volume, that came from another study in 2015 in which they conducted a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial to evaluate the safety, tolerability, and potential cognitive effects of a high dose of oral resveratrol in patients with mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. The study enrolled 119 patients, with 104 making it through the full 52 weeks. About half of them were on the placebo and half of them were taking high doses of oral resveratrol. The authors hypothesized that resveratrol's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and SIRT1 activating qualities might slow cognitive decline and modulate biomarkers of neurodegeneration, including CSF, plasmoid amyloid beta, and tau. The trial found that resveratrol was generally safe, with some minor side effects such as nausea, diarrhea, and weight loss, contributing to some of the dropouts from the study. Resveratrol decreased CSF and A beta 40 levels, suggesting that it can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and affect the central nervous system, despite its low bioavailability. It did not significantly change other biomarkers that were monitored during this study. Resveratrol-treated patients actually showed greater brain volume loss and slightly increased ventricular volume. These changes were not associated with cognitive decline, but they were unexpected, and they did raise questions about long-term effects of resveratrol. The authors suggest other, potentially more potent SIRT1 activators might offer greater benefit. Overall, no significant improvements were observed in cognitive or functional outcomes compared with the placebo.
So should we be taking resveratrol?
More research is needed because of mixed evidence. There seems to be more promise in cis resveratrol or low doses of trans resveratrol. Generally, it could be beneficial, but we just have to wait and see. There's no reason to run to the store right now and get yourself a bottle of resveratrol.